Hello, my darling Joan. It is not often that I beat you to the punch in sending the first voice memo, but today, the day after, the immediate day after our recording of our last episode, both our most recent episode and our final episode of season 4, all about pleasure, I have some news to announce, which you already personally know, but I wanted to make sure that I announced this news to our wider community here as well, since I know everyone is deeply invested at this point in my ongoing, many years long list drama. The list has been officially deleted. It is gone. It is dead. We held ceremony for the list last night when we finished recording. When you and I finished recording, I went upstairs and started talking with Ty over dinner and sharing about this with him. And I actually pulled up the list and showed it to him. In its current form, at that point in time, it had 46 items on it. And I slid my phone over to him, and he sat there and he looked at it silently for a period of time. And then he looked up at me and he slid my phone back over towards me and he said, "This is bad." And I went, "Oh no, really?" As if I didn't already know. He was like, "Yes, honey, this is bad. This has to go." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right, it has to go." So we were able to send a PDF version of the list to his email. And I had, fascinatingly enough, we had just finished setting up our altar in our bedroom, because I had finished with my last hands-on session, the night before our recording. And during that session, just had this overwhelming sense of knowing of like, I need to set up the altar. We've been in this new place for almost a month now, and it's just like this mess on the table, and so we did it. And so when Ty was like, "Are you ready to delete it?" And I was like, "No, but yes, but no, because I need ceremony around this." And so I was like, conveniently, we have an altar. Let's go into the altar. Let's light a few candles. And so we did that. We stood there and I got the idea. Because, by the way, for context, this list, it is the reminders. It has been stored in the reminders app on my iPhone. So if anyone has that app and uses that app, they might know that you can either toggle it to show completed or hide completed. And so obviously my list has had hide completed as the setting for many years now. And right as I was about to delete it, I was like, wait. And I got the idea and I clicked show completed. And Joan, I would like for you and everyone to know that this list that I have been working off of and steadily adding to and, checking off for, I'm going to say, based on the context clues of what was on this list, probably somewhere between 5 to 7 years. I'm not quite sure exactly when it started, but somewhere around there. This list had 5,705 completed items. And the moment that I clicked show completed and I saw that in the last 5 to 7 years, I have completed 5,705 items, that was when I simultaneously realized, okay, I definitely need to stop doing this thing to me that I've been doing of like telling myself I never get anything done. Clearly this is a lie. And clearly the list has got to go. This has got to go. And so I stood there and I scrolled through all 5,705 items, not slowly. I rapidly scrolled through some of them and then like took my time and looked at a few and giggled and laughed and pointed things out and noticed that an alarming amount of the older entries from around 6 or 7 years ago were just like basic human care tasks, which I will say this too when I was talking with Ty about it. One of the things that I found myself pointing out to me and to him is that, you know, the list had a former usefulness, but what I said was I needed a list when I didn't have practices. And now I have practices, and so I don't really think that I need the list. Or at the very least, now that I have practices, I'm willing to find out, to run the experiment about whether or not I actually do or don't still need the list. And so a lot of these list items were just like really basic, take care of yourself, girlfriend items. And so that brought up like a lot of appreciation and affection from me, to past me, and to the list. And most especially just this gratitude of just how much I don't need that anymore. And a real tangible sense of courage that maybe, just maybe, I will be okay without the list. And maybe, just maybe, I can actually begin to, wouldn't you know it, just start to move through the world and move through my life oriented by letting my actions and motions and behaviors be dictated by my pleasure, my desire. I think it's very fascinating that every time we do one of these seasons, it's like the theme kind of finally clicks for me, like in my body once we're finishing up the season. And so Ty said a few words. He asked me if I wanted to say a few words. And what I found myself saying to the list was, you are no longer my only companion. Thank you for your service. Be at peace. And then I deleted the list. And Ty asked me, how do you feel? And I answered honestly, because I said, I started to stumble. I was like, I feel dizzy. Like I literally felt kind of disoriented and dizzy, and like my bearings were out of reach. And I was like, I don't know who I'm going to be when I wake up tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do, except I guess I'm going to do what I want, and what occurs to me in every moment like needs to be done. I guess that's what I'm going to do. And ironically, maybe not ironically, I woke up this morning and I started my bleed. It was almost like my body was waiting for me to go through this portal of the late luteal time that is often quite clarifying. And I got the message received, message interpreted correctly, and action taken. And it was like this huge exhale from my body when I woke up. And today it's felt strange, but I feel good. I feel good strange. It's a good strange. And I'm excited to find out what happens now in my life and what kind of new shape I'm going to take without this list hemming me in and constraining me and telling me what to do, and without me using this list as an unconscious excuse to consistently return back to the state of overwhelmment and frustration and shame. Because really the question is not who I will be without this list, but who will I be without the same amount of this frustration, this orientation towards frustration and overwhelmment and shame. So list is gone, list is dead. Old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. She's dead. Did I get that right? Is that right? Did I get it? You can let me know. Thank you so much for last night. I appreciate you enormously. And also thank you for sending me the link to your wedding blog. That was such an incredible joy to look through those photos and see your joy. Oh my God, you little cuties. You little cuties. It was so lovely. I think we're going to have to share the link for everyone. So that's all for now. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Jamie! That might have been the most favorite voice memo you've ever sent me, other than the one where you sent back being like, yes, I will do the podcast with you. That's number one forever. But this is absolutely number two, because this is my shit. I love this. I love it. I was like howling with laughter when you were sharing like the numbers involved. When Ty was like, this is not good. I just was, it was so funny. Oh my gosh. And then I was like it was a whole roller coaster. Then I was getting like chills when you were doing the ceremony for it, because like, this is the thing. This is not silly, and this is not nothing. This is like a physical representation of what we are holding inside of our nervous systems, inside of our minds. And it's a beautiful partner to that, so that we don't have to literally hold it in our brain when like our working memory literally only has so much space, right? So it's a beautiful ally and tool for times in our lives and for seasons. And I'll say like for projects, like in certain contexts, lists rock. I'm still a list girly in a certain way, but gotta be careful, because then it can become, like you're saying, this sort of shame thing. And it's just so common. Like I was saying, like, you know, in terms of when I'm doing like coaching stuff and time management coaching stuff in particular, actually the thing you discovered that I had in my head to say, but I think I didn't say out loud, is like a common kind of, I'm not going to say assignment or challenge, like an invitation for people who are doing, say, like creating space stuff or any workshop, or if I'm speaking or doing coaching with them, like a common invitation I give them is what, you know, at the end of the day, instead of looking at what remains in your inbox, tallying up throughout the day, like have like a piece of paper, tally up every task you do during a day. And people, I don't know if anyone does it because like it's another task on top of the tasks, but it's pretty fascinating. People have this perception, because what you pay attention to grows and becomes the story. So say you start the day with your to-do list or your inbox, and your inbox is just a to-do list that other people have given you, by the way. It's all the same thing. Like, it starts with 50 items, it ends with 50 items. Your body does that math and is like, apparently nothing happened. But like, you know, the huge amount that may have moved through that inbox, moved through that to-do list on a given day, week, or whatever, like, and it's not like, and if, as long as lots got done, then you're worthy. Like, it could be the exact same 50 items and you're still a worthy human being, to be clear. But often it's just like not even a true story, especially if you're the kind of person who keeps a list. That's the really interesting thing, because, you know, like if you have learned the strategy to keep a list, it's typically because you've both been compelled, hopefully authentically and motivated to, as well as deeply socially conditioned to be whatever your version of like high performing is, you know, high output, highly productive, all these sorts of words. And so otherwise, someone that's not a value of theirs is less likely to have a list, because if you forget, you forget. You're not assigning some kind of value to yourself morally of getting it done or not, you know? And I say you, but I mean me, I mean us. It's definitely not just you and Jamie, but it's like the collective us, that this has happened to us. This is what's going on. So, gosh, that was such a thrill to hear. Thank you for sharing. That needs a party more than a wedding is important too. But you know what I mean? Like the kinds of things like that. I'm so glad you created ceremony around, because it is also so important to mark these shifts in your relationship to routines, habits, things in your life that are no longer serving, that, and offer them palliative care, hospice, the list, and so that the list can let you go. And now you can find a new way of being. And what antenatal care are you providing to the new way of being? And so this I'm saying both directly to you, Jamie, in case it's helpful, but also to anyone else who does this, just because I think about this stuff a lot. I've done this stuff a lot. Like, what can you do instead of a list? You definitely can kind of just like raw dog your life, if you will, and truly be like, if it comes to me and I have time, I shall do it. If not, I let it go. Or, I describe what has become my process, which is I allow things that are yet unclaimed by me to sit in the email inbox. Once I have claimed it and put it on my calendar, it is still not a guarantee for it to be done, but it's a good measure of ensuring I'm not committing to more things that I literally have space for in a day, And then if I try and jam too many things in a day, time lets me know, and my body lets me know at the end of the day, is like, did I do all the things I said I would do in this calendar day? No. Okay. Time to adjust my estimates of, I have to be honest. It's like, it keeps you in more integrity. If it's like, I said this would take 10 minutes and it clearly takes 2 hours. I need to, if I want this to be done by me in this way, I need to commit 2 hours of my life. So where am I going to find it? Or when I look around, I'm like, I don't want to find 2 hours to do this. Okay. So then what are the other options, right? This is the creating space stuff. I can let it go. It's not mine to do. I can do it with much greater mediocrity. Like, what is the 15-minute version of this thing that I think needs to take 2 hours? And I can delegate either completely or part of it. So, one thing I've been using to varying successes, but finding useful ways to use, say, like AI, is going to be delegating to technology. That one we can't over rely on or think is always going to be the solution, though. But that's one. Asking other people for help, right? Like, those are the options. That's all there is. And the letting it go is more often the solution than you think. And or mediocrity, actually. Those are the two that are the most frequently used for all the outstanding list items that you just really don't want to commit the full force of your energy to. And it's so useful to just know that it's not even a new practice. Everyone lets go of things, right? Like, you can do it. So I'll also name like a specific thing that I did for, 6 months or something, when I was first trying to shift away from the punishing, shame-based to-do list that never ends. Like the thing I did before this, it's something that I learned from my coaching certification at the life coach school. And she always called it Monday Hour 1. So the idea there was you set aside an hour at the beginning of your week. Mine was actually always Sunday night. And then you just brain dump everything that your brain is reminding you that you want to do that week. And you like create the whole list there. And then you put it in your calendar for that week. And then if you run out of space, I suppose you could start transferring over, but I think true Monday Hour 1 would say, no, you don't do that. You just delete everything that didn't have space that week. And you're trusting that, like, if it actually matters, your body and also your life will give you the cues to get it done. Pay the bill. Guess what? I know it is nice to remember to pay your bills on time. And for sure, there are partners in this world that are going to absolutely help you remember to pay the bills. Specifically, the person who wants your money is going to send you so many reminders. And we can have so much shame. Oh, they had to remind me. Thank you for reminding me. Now I'll pay it now. I didn't have space to remember when you sent me the first bill. I've lost the bill. Here it comes now. Thank you for the reminder. You know what I mean? So like, I've got to make sure I call that person back. Someone sends you a random email. I've got to make sure I reply. Do you want to? Will it bring you pleasure to? And if the answer is no, why don't you just delete it? And if the person really did have a more specific question of you, or is really, they may refine their approach to you in a way that eventually you're like, yeah. But like, sometimes it's just a no. Also, it's got to be one of my favorite voice memos you ever sent, because you quote Taylor Swift in it. I felt so seen. And to also quote Taylor Swift, she said, your energy is expensive. And I did an old podcast episode about like, what is your attention budget? You could also say, what is your energy budget? Like, if you've heard of spoon theory, like there's different ways to think of it. Attention's a neat one in that like your brain can only hold so much attention in a day, and especially a certain kind of focus. Your brain may only have so much capacity per day. How are you going to spend those dollars? And even the idea of like how many dollars of attention do you want to spend to social media, to people who don't matter, not, I mean, all humans matter, but you know what I mean? Like opinions that don't matter, really, like that kind of thing, you know? So that's my last. I have so much to say. I'm going to wrap it up. I just, thank you for sharing. Yes, we can absolutely, we talked about your future wedding and my past wedding on the like paywall Substack, and I'm happy to share not only my song, which I have recorded, and so that's going to go on the Substack, but also put in the link for my wedding. Happy to share that as well. It was actually very easy to find, actually, because that website still exists, and just like searched my name, because not many people are named Joan. It just popped up. And I like the pictures are so fun, but also like what I wrote and what Frances wrote about our wedding. I was like, yeah, it was true. Like I wrote in there about like having to set boundaries for the first time. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm remembering correctly that really was a very important like milestone for me when I was just such a little infant adult, you know? Anyways, okay. Love you so much, Jamie. And thank you for that absolutely delightful experience. Hey, Jamie. Wanted to share a little more about this bridge between pleasure and creation, because I'm driving away from the ribbon cutting ceremony of the teaching site that I've talked a bit about on the podcast as I'm helping to co-create. And it was like so cool and like honestly kind of trippy of like, oh, this is like a real thing. Like we knew it was real. We know the names of the residents that are coming, like we're prepared, but having it be real in the sense of like, you know, our local member of government was there, the CEO of the hospital, like the CEOs of the various healthcare organizations were there. And that was very thrilling as well. And in some ways more meaningfully for me, right before the ribbon cutting ceremony, I had like our first, what we call faculty development session. So it's a session where all the different physicians who are also teachers can come together and learn together about like how to teach better. And I'm also running that part of the curriculum. And I got to just talk about things that I love talking about related to your body and related to having a real emergent approach to our own learning and thinking of ourselves and what we need in order to support the learners and what they need. And really that, you know, it was just so cool to be sitting in this room with like all these people who did, you know, they took off time from their clinic and they came and they participated and were a part of the conversation. And I got to sort of share my dream and vision for what I'm hoping this teaching site can do in the community that I teach, which is like cultivate an even more deeply connected and supportive and co-creative community, like amongst people, because it can feel so isolating. And just seeing that like embodied by these people that some of them I had never met in person, you know, only on Zoom or email or whatever, and having them all come to this event. And then my co-site director and I like got giant scissors and cut a ribbon. and it was just really cool. And the CEO of a local healthcare organization is also a good friend. And we actually just had a really beautiful, like, connective dinner conversation, her and I and another friend, that was really meaningful and magical. And so to have her there too, and just sort of just see, like, this past year, it was an extra role I signed up for, obviously took extra time, energy, had lots of little bumps and curveballs along the way, some of which I've talked about. And on paper, it's not the most exciting work to, you know, form committees, and it's not the thing that lights me up. It was just a reminder that all of that's like the set dressing, but like the thing that I was letting lead the way for me is like, what's sustainable for me in terms of, am I working under my capacity? And what about this feels good? What about this lights me up? Keep recentering that over and over again. All the other shoulds or woulds or drama or whatever, it's like, let's find our way through in a way that feels best, that feels the most connective, grounded, And that was obviously sufficient to get it here. But beyond that, like, it was really kind of cool. Like, there's people who said like kind things, including like, I think part of why, everyone's so excited is because of the energy that like you and the other site director are bringing to the role, which is like very that vibe. So when you are doing things that feel good, that is amplified in people around you, and it's something that you can share with them and invite them into. And I just feel so excited. And then now the residents are actually coming in a few weeks, and it's all starting, and it will be perfectly imperfect. There will be all sorts of whatever things come our way. And I just feel like this moment was such a special, nourishing sort of, not just a checkpoint, but this transition time into really what's coming next. On the last podcast, I talked about creating the keynote for like the graduation ceremony for the family medicine residents. I gave that last week. And again, just feeling like this is the kind of thing I love doing. I loved making ceremony of their graduation ceremony by talking about how a part of them was dying, another part of them was being born, and it being something that's just feels so, it's me speaking the truth. It's me, speaking from my body. And I heard from a number of people that it really landed and was really memorable. Like the thing I hoped would happen happened, And I mean, that's sort of it. Jamie, the thing I'm hoping for to happen keeps happening. And that's not an accident. It's because what I'm aligning with, the pace that I'm setting, staying curious, not doing more than my capacity, but really centering what actually matters to me, and including feeling good. The pleasure of all of these micro moments and things over time get to be part of these like real tangible things that are being created. Like this community, it existed in a certain form, and now we have created it to exist in a different form and structure. Like, I helped do that. We made a hat where there never was a hat. Have we talked about that? Do you know Sunday in the Park with George, the Stephen Sondheim musical? Like, it was really trippy. And also holding giant ass scissors and cutting a ribbon was so fun. So I just want to do that little share as well. Hope all is well for you, and love you so much, Jamie. Bye.
Oh my goodness, Joan. It was so delightful to hear this message. It was delightful to hear both of those messages. Yes. But I'm just like, I'm really feeling this energy, this like, yeah, I mean, of course I am. It's what we're doing next. We've decided. And so it's emerging. Like, we're moving from pleasure to creation. And that's because the only way to create is anchoring in pleasure and making that the priority, the highest value, the like most precious thing. I will not move from this point of pleasure being my absolute highest value. And I will not bring anything forth unless it is rooted in pleasure. And I will not bring anything forth until I am rooted in pleasure. And I have to say, these past few weeks have been a really fascinating journey for me. So it's really interesting to be kind of like popping back in, but also closing this out, like kind of finishing this season. I've been going through this creative overhaul. It started happening after I got rid of that fucking list. And I was nauseous, and I was like, what happens now? And then I kept with it, that like branding boot camp of sorts. And at the end of it, I decided like, okay, these 2 weeks were impactful enough. Like, I am signing up, putting my money where my mouth is. My next training is like the 12-month mentorship, like with this person. And because I'm ready to really care about this, and I'm ready to care about like the way my life feels and the way my work feels in a way that like truly prioritizes like doing what feels good, actually, not just like saying that I do that, but then I have this like oppressive fucking list that's like barking orders at me all the time. Like, I'm ready. Let's do this. And so I've been taking a different shape, Joan. I've been like rearranging myself. I've been like moving in new and different ways, like doing new physical practices, more primal, more flowy, more open, less linear yoga, more bowspring, guanjing, like these like kind of emergent methodologies that feel really vibrant and rich. I've been taking a new shape in I went vintage shopping and I bought the whole rainbow of colors of items. By the way, I went to Vancouver to do this, and I gotta say, the exchange rate is working out great for me because I got so much stuff. And I'm so excited about all of it. I wore black for so many years, Joan. Now I'm stepping into this vibrancy and playfulness and self-expression, self-expression being the name of the game of the whole process of what I was learning in this branding process is just branding is just self-expression. And it's just allowing yourself to be an artist, to be a creator, to be creative. And at the beginning of those 2 weeks, I was like, what the fuck? I'm not one of those. I don't know what you're talking about. Allowing that part of me that's been protective and responsible and on the surface to drop down a little bit to dialogue with the deeper part of me, the truer part of me, the more vibrant and alive part of me that's oh no. I long to create. It is my innate nature to create. You just got to set me free, baby. And so, I've been working on setting that part of me free through just these avenues of self-expression. I've been trying new forms of media for the internet. I've been working with how I conceptualize of my time and my tasks, moving from just this running to-do list from hell to blocking off time in alignment with the energy I need to be in to complete certain tasks. So what I mean by that is I've come to realize that part of the reason why I haven't been creating or haven't prioritized creating is because I'm constantly responding. I've been a facilitator for 10 years. My bread and butter is waiting as people say something and then responding and that being what creates the value and what pays my bills versus bringing something forth. This is why I wanted to move from facilitator to teacher, bringing something forth from a still, I'm an abundant well and wealth of resource and knowledge and in my partnership with all that is and source and God today, what wants to come through, just waiting and bringing forth, creating, creator, creation, artist. That energy has had no space to breathe or exist in my life because I'm a workhorse. I'm just on task after task after task. And so I've rearranged because I realized if I'm just going off of a long list of tasks, I'm not organizing those based on, is this a creative energy or is this a responsive energy? Now how I've organized my days for the summer, where we don't have to take the boys to and from school, I'm dialing in my days where I wake up in the morning, 5:30 a.m. My first hour is learning and practice. These trainings that I'm taking, these things that I'm learning, these ways I'm moving in my body, that is the first thing I do. And then, breakfast and various different life and household things. And then when I drop into work, my first block of time in my day, no negotiation, no exceptions, is creating. I don't do anything unless it's coming from the energy of creating. I'm writing things, I'm filming videos, I'm organizing content that I want to share. It's just creating. And then in the later part of my day, I have a block of time for responding where, the list of emails that are in my inbox or these voice memos that I need to listen to and then send responses to, or even these voice memo exchanges, anything that puts me in the disposition of I'm responding, I wait to do that until the later part of my day. And you know what? If the creating takes longer than I anticipated, maybe that just gets shoved in the next day. And can I hold that? Can I hold that feeling of guilt or fear or anxiety or whatever it might be, afraid someone's going to get mad at me or get their feelings hurt? Can I hold that? Because I have to learn how to hold that if I want to be a genuine, honest creator. And all of this just feels like deep self-responsibility work. And so I'm aware of kind of where we are in time, when this episode is going to be released, and it's going to be released right at the beginning of the next cohort of the refuge. And I am so excited to find out what wants to be created in that space with that group of people. We're also a few months out from the refuge retreat in Tennessee at Basque Retreat Center, and I'm so excited about that like immersive luxury experience where we just get to, for like 4 straight days, hold this energy of like, oh my gosh, I can partner with my body in this lifetime to experience the utmost like vitality and well-being and satisfaction and connection. And oh, wow, what an incredible space where we get to do this on this retreat. And oh, I'm learning practices of how to like create this energy for myself in my daily life outside of this. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to create that. Just like you were sharing in your voice memo, like this big dream, this big goal that like, oh my gosh, everything's working out the way I want it to. Like it's all happening. Like if you had not become a person who could take the shape of, hold on, I'm not just here to respond. I'm not just here to like facilitate someone else's experience, person after person after person. If you had not allowed yourself to drop into a more expansive space of like dreaming and imagining and rooting in what makes me feel good, what is most pleasurable to me, none of these things would have been brought forth. And that's really how I'm feeling right now. The shift I'm feeling in myself is like this shift from, service provider to someone who like creates these experiences and tends and holds these spaces in groups of people in these immersive environments. And like, man, that feels so good when I think about, how I want the next 10 years of my life and my work to feel. I feel like I'm really starting to hold this energy of creator in me more than ever before. So also, yeah, great time to get pregnant. So we'll see about that. But regardless, like perfect timing for us to, take a little pause, take a little break and start allowing the ideas and the inspiration for season 5, all about creation, to come through. And I am so excited to co-create that in partnership with you, Joan. Thank you for being someone who consistently encourages me through your friendship and your partnership to like get more deeply in touch with that part of myself. Like your celebration over me deleting that fucking list. Like I can't even imagine going back. Like, oh my God. But your celebration was like, first of all, your encouragement on the front end and then your celebration afterwards. Like, oh, it means so much to me. I'm so grateful for you and so happy to be doing this with you and so happy to be doing another season very soon. So I love you, Joan, and I am sure we will talk again very soon. Okay, bye.
Oh my God, Jamie, I just am so thrilled and smiling from ear to ear at your like entire memo response. Hell yeah, goodbye, to-do list forever. I'm a big fan of time blocking, as I briefly explained on the podcast, and really feel like for me, it's in complete alignment with like how I help myself, help my future self kind of guide my time, but still in integrity for like whatever needs to emerge today has space too, without me feeling confused, of what to do next. I've been seeing on social media you creating a bit more in that space, and some of your beautiful writing you've been doing, and it just is all so thrilling. And I was just like nodding along vigorously to everything you were saying, because I feel very similar. Isn't this fun? We just keep evolving. And we right now are having this real like parallel transformation, evolution, emergence, whatever you want to call it. I love everything you said about moving from service provider to like creator, and like creator spaces where people can have these meaningful transformative experiences, because that is for sure so resonant for what I most enjoy offering as well, including like with my patients. Like thinking of patient encounters as that as well is extremely fun versus transactional, here's your prescription. Like those things are happening, but there's
But also, what if there's an experience being created? That's fun. And then also when it's just purely like retreat, course, like something where it's like pure creativity, completely up to my mind to make something new that hasn't been there before. That's amazing. I know we're closing out this episode and closing out the season, and just wanted to share this past weekend I was at the Canadian Women in Medicine conference, and it's a space where like women physicians from like across different specialties can come together. And the whole point of it is like connection. The whole point of it is to be just in community with each other. The talks are like meant to just inspire us and enrich us. They're not actually directly about any kind of like medicine. Like you don't learn about drugs or treatments or diagnoses. Like you learn about, how to set boundaries or sex or, like relationships. Like it's like the human parts of us. And I was just like so struck. I haven't been to this conference in a long time. Certainly I haven't been since I started my podcasts and everything. And just like how different I feel, like you were saying, taking the shape of, I just feel so in my own shape and like ready to just receive love and offer love to everyone I was meeting, including when I got tired and went and had naps, right? Like it wasn't like I know how to be with my body and help her pace through, a high contact event, like, 2 days of a conference, which includes getting out of there from time to time for sure. It meant I was just so much more available to actually greet and connect with people, including like people who have listened to the podcast and were coming up and talking about how much it's helping them, which is like, ah. And then as you saw, like meeting Roxanne in real life and hugging her and dancing with her and oh my gosh, and other people that I've also, have been in coaching relationships with and just like hugging them and really feeling and witnessing the impact of like what has saved me will save others was one of my original expressions that I like used to help get over the fear of creating out in the world in public. I've been really thinking on this phrase, like we are each other's medicine, and just like really feeling that, including then also like, naming and thanking and affirming for others that I was like meeting and encountering, like what was beautiful about what they were sharing and feeling the energy of like how lovely that is as well. And in terms of the whole creativity creation thing, also over the past 2 weeks, it's been like an explosion. And so just a couple things I want to name it to you is one, definitely being at CWIM conference. I was like, oh, I am absolutely speaking at this conference someday. And I can't wait for when that will happen. And afterwards I like wrote a pitch to them to say, hey, how about next year? But like, I am speaking at this conference at some point because I am. So that's fun to know and not know when, but to have something to look forward to whenever that happens. It just is like such a aligned thing going on there. But then the sooner thing is that I am writing a book, apparently. That's the new thing that just definitely kind of came through, like a book of poetry. I won't get into the details because I actually don't know what it will be in the end, but I've been writing a bunch and reconnected with a friend, and we're going to be writing together, not like writing the same thing together, but she's writing and I'm writing. We're going to spend sort of time together, kind of like so that we can like hold space to write within. And it's a whole new branch of creativity that I have honestly been doing for a long time, like through even just like the emails for the podcast and social media. And I've shared poetry on the podcast, right? But just having it be very specifically a goal of when the book would start to be created, a goal for when the book would come out, which would be next year. And the vision of it is very clear to me, and it's just happening. So great timing to have a whole season next about creativity and creation, because I'm imagining lots will be coming up for me as I'm doing this. And what the heck, let's go. I love you, Jamie. You are absolutely one of my favorite people to co-create with. I have learned so much from you and can't wait to keep learning from you and with you and alongside you. And I love you. All right. Talk to you later.
This is Experiential Anatomy. Thanks for listening. I'm Joan Chan.
And I'm Jamie Lee Finch. Experiential Anatomy is co-hosted and created by us.
Amber Wyndham is the editor. Julia Wyndham is the supervising producer.
Senior producer is Elizabeth Wyndham.
Our theme music is Park Pier 3 by G's Guy.
If you have any thoughts, questions, or stories to share about this week's episode, email us at exanatomy@gmail.com.
Please follow, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. And remember to join us over at exanatomy.substack.com.
Experiential Anatomy is produced by Windhaven Productions.